We're live.
That's my intro music.
It's very good, Ian.
Thank you. I'm going to turn it up a little bit. But we're live. It's Thursday. It's the 6th of July. We are officially in the second half of 2023.
Stop
It is
it.
nearly Christmas. Can you believe it?
My decorations are going up already.
You look like you're standing behind a Christmas tree, Chris.
Yeah, very true. This is my living, breathing wall. Really?
Sean looks like he's just seen the light, and you look like you're in some sort of avocado boudoir, Chris.
Yeah, or as Sanjay calls it, the dungeon.
Yeah, the dungeon. The dungeon. And Kyle, you said you're having some lighting scenario going on at the moment.
Yeah, always. It's just so dark. It doesn't matter what I do, I can't brighten it up, but I'm working on it. We've also got a very small person trying to break in, so there might be a mini me. Just sort
Is my business partner with you?
Yes, yeah, he's just out the door.
Bring him in. If he comes in, we'll take his view on the property market, because as the comment or as the banner, I should say, says below, the truth behind the current property market, what is going on? There is a lot of news. There's a lot of everyone's got an opinion on it at the moment, especially in the media. I've spoke to all sorts of people this week. I've spoke to brokers. I've spoke to Bank of England representatives. I've spoke to BDMs of Halifax, all sorts of people to get everyone's feedback. So we're going to share that over the course of this half-hour convo. But I guess the first place I want to touch base, and Chris, as you're next to me in this call, go to you first. Camberley, Frimley, Farnborough. How are we finding things at the moment? What's going on in your part of the world?
I'll always be transparent about everything, as everyone knows, but I'd say it's definitely more challenging. It's very, very busy, very busy. June was a phenomenal listing month for us, and sales month as well. And July so far is stacking up to be pretty darn good as well. But it's very price sensitive. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of negativity around at the moment, which we'll go on to, particularly from the media about rates. And it's harder. Don't get me wrong. But as I keep saying to people, it's a normal market. Don't panic. It's a normal market. This is how it kind of was pre-COVID, just with different rates. And I think a lot of the panic that's going on at the moment is so unwarranted and unjustified. We've got to be aware of what's going on and cautious. But are we panicking? Absolutely not. It's just we're experienced people. All of us around, all of us on this call, we know how to deal with these kind of markets. So it's good. It's busy. It's just a bit more of a challenge. So not a problem.
Yeah. It's you do the right thing. You find a buyer. You go wrong with your choice of price or estate agent or decision making, and it could cost you a buyer. It could cost you a sale. And it could potentially, obviously, get you off on the wrong foot for what your ultimate goal is. So, it's just making the right decisions. You almost don't have a B. You don't have a B plan like you could before. You could make a mistake and then you've got B, C, and D options when the market's booming. Now you just got to get it right. Doesn't mean that it's the end, but you've just got to get it right. Sean, how are you finding things, bud? How's Basingstoke? How's that neck of the woods looking? How's that sort of Hampshire world looking?
Basingstoke's doing good. A lot of reductions, but actually probably more sales in June than there were, in each month beforehand. So there's people who want to move, but obviously lots of reductions. People are catching on to the market. It's usually a little bit delayed in Basingstoke than any other kind of the likes of Camberley and Fleet, and places like that, because it's more of a sort of bigger markets, with lower value properties. But huge amount of sales still taking place.
Yeah, seems to be that way, actually. I mean, for Avocado as a group, just to give everyone the feedback, we had one of the strongest months on record for sales agreed last month. With what you had led to be believed, properties are selling, and a lot of the Avocado agents that I speak to are actually running out of stock still. Not everyone, but some are still running out of stock. I spoke to Stuart over in Maidenhead. I think it was yesterday or the day before. He agreed 3 sales. So only one property out of the 20 odd that he's got is for sale. The other 18, 19 are under offer. So it's different out there. Kyle, what sort of feedback are you getting from people off the back of all your social media content, the valuations you're doing, the clients and the buyers you're talking to? What's everyone's take on things?
Yeah, there's still, again, like everyone else, masses of, in amongst all the negativity, there's still masses of positivity. There are still people out there that not just want to move, but there are a lot of people that have to move. Bereavements, work relocations, unexpected or expected new arrivals, those things are still happening in life, and those people are still moving. It's all relative if they're selling, upsizing, downsizing. I'm still seeing, I think we kind of went through a wave about a month ago where across the area, a lot of reductions were coming through, but a lot of those properties have been on the market since last year. So although they've reduced now and some of them look quite big, I'd actually say a number of them are still chasing the market. It's now not big enough because it's been too long. There's one that has recently come on the market yesterday that I saw back in February. Again, was the only agent that went through all the reasons why I had all the evidence there. And they said, well, we're going to leave it for a bit, and we want to put it on at a much higher price. I said, okay, that's not for me. It went live. I saw it hit Rightmove yesterday. It's gone on Rightmove on the price that we'd originally seen it at. So I'm already quite concerned for that one because quite a lot has happened since then. But still, a lot of properties are selling. I've put one live. It's not on Rightmove or Zoop or any of that yet. It's available through our systems. It's gone nuts, the amount of interest on that already, effectively just marketing through the avocado system. So I'm sure once I trickle it over, we'll see a lot more interest because it's on at the right price.
I saw one of the agents did a Beat the Portals on Instagram, and I noticed it had a lot of comments. So I looked at the comments, and within, I think it was like 45 minutes of doing the live Beat the Portals, there was 3 viewings, 3 people trying to view that property in the comments. And all they'd seen was the outside of it at that stage. But, you know, there was enough description on the video, probably a better description on a live video, to be fair, Beat the Portals, than there is when an agent puts it on Rightmove. But, yeah, straight away, you know, that is what we were seeing. So we've got some comments coming in. We've got Rob on LinkedIn. So please drop us a like if you can hear us, because we're on YouTube, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook. We're everywhere. Don't worry about the BBC News. There's not much to report today. I've already checked it out and spoke to them. Stay here. This is the place to be. As Rob knows on LinkedIn and Georgina knows on Facebook. So drop us a like if you can hear us. Don't be shy. Ask us a comment. We don't mind what you're going to ask us. But Georgina's going uncertainty. And while there's uncertainty, are we seeing people choosing to let rather than sell? I can answer that question at the moment. Not really, to be honest with you. There's still a huge shortage of rental. There's the odd person that decides they're going to do a let to buy or a let to let or potentially rent it out. But typically speaking, at the moment, most people are focused on selling. And yeah, I've not seen too many people turning to rental unless that is ultimately their goal, to keep hold of the property. Don't know if anyone else is seeing any different. Sean, are you seeing anything different?
I mean, I've taken on some lettings properties, but not because they don't want to sell them. It's because, you know, they want to, as you say, it's a let to let, an opportunity for a property to come up, which is not for sale, has come up, and someone wants to rent that, so they put theirs on the market to rent to go and get that property until like that becomes available to purchase. So
yeah, I'm the same. Chris, what about yourself? You seeing much of the people kind of default into rental?
No, we've had a couple that you know, they sold a couple of 2 or 3 months ago, and unfortunately they haven't worked out for whatever the reasons might be, and we have basically subsequently rented them, and probably have another one popping up fairly shortly. But the necessity isn't there to sell for those particular clients. You know, for the right price, you know, they will. But you know, at the moment, those particular properties, it was right for them to keep them rented. So yeah, 2 or 3, well, 3. But yeah, that's it.
If anyone's in Binfield, I've just had a bank account report that Michael Robson, my business partner, is spending £80 in Laithwaites. So
wow. I bet that hurt him as well, didn't it?
I don't think he's too worried about the market if that's what his intentions are at 6 o'clock on a Thursday evening. So,
getting ready for Friday.
If you are in Binfield, just usher Mike out of Laithwaites. That'd be fantastic. Thank you so much. And as you can see at the bottom, today's mortgage rates coming up. We're gonna put those on the screen. I've got those from a broker. I won't say which broker because I don't want to get them in trouble. But I do have them from a broker. We're going to talk about 5 and 2 year fix. So if you want to know what the best deals are today, right now, 3 hours ago, coming up in just a second. But let's talk about mortgage rates because that's got to be the topic, right? It's got to be something to discuss. Last month, base rate went up by 50 base points. So we saw some knee-jerk response, from the banks, didn't we? Really, 2 weeks prior to that, and then obviously the 2 weeks, 3 weeks since. What sort of feedback are you getting from buyers at the moment? Kyle, I know you've been negotiating some properties, doing some viewings on properties as well. First-time buyers, sounds like you've got a first-time buyer over your shoulder at the moment. But what's going on with the buyers at the moment, Kyle?
Oh, my signal. Someone's signal was dropping out. Might be mine. All I got from that was first-time buyers, but no, they're still there. I think most first-time buyers have just sort of made their peace with it, and I think a lot of people are, based on what the news is saying, expecting things to possibly get trickier. So a lot of people are actually quite committed to just doing the move now, sucking it up for 2 years, as long as obviously you can afford to do that. Because I guess that's the biggest challenge right now. It's obviously what a lot of people can go and buy at is up there, and it's no longer about pushing for that. It's just about, right, let's understand actually what my repayments are each month, right? And it's, as long as people are okay with that part and they've got job security, they're kind of going, well, we're just not going to go on holiday for 2 years, but we're going to get on the housing market still. And actually, I guess what I'm seeing in my area is a big shortage at the moment of 2 beds. There's just not enough 2 beds. There's high buyer demand there. I spoke to a buyer yesterday, and he's currently buying one through another agent at a very good price, I'd say. But he's in touch because his mortgage offer expires in October, and he knows come October, based on the current rates, he's probably not going to be able to afford to move. So he's trying to tee up a plan B. He's trying to encourage the agent to get that seller to vacate. It's a very, very good offer, I'd say. And based on today's market, I'd say that house is probably worth about 25,000 less. He's paying about 9 grand off the asking price. So doing the maths from the seller's perspective, they've got 15 grand there to play with. They could go into sort of rent it themselves for 6 months whilst they focus on their search, because that's what's holding it up. And I think still probably have a couple of grand left at the end, versus losing the buyer and then starting 25 grand worse off. But I guess that's down to the agent. Buyers are still there. It's just not necessarily the stock or the right kind of stock across the board. The stock that is there that's at the right price, it's going, it's selling, it's getting interest, it's got viewings.
Good. I've just shared this live to a couple of groups and accidentally pressed things to do in Vegas. So if you're seeing this in Vegas, hello Vegas.
Howdy.
This is what's going on with avocado in property world. What are you finding, Chris, on the buyers at the moment? Similar to Kyle, what sort of feedback you're getting from buyers? Have you had any buyers say we're not looking anymore? Have you had any buyers change their price criteria?
All of the above. Big mixture. I think on the whole, nothing to hugely worry about. But we've had the biggest issue we do have at the moment is expiring mortgage offers because of the length of time that a lot of the transactions are taking, particularly when you've got apartments involved, where you have these issues, which a lot of them do at the moment, where they require a deed of variation, which we can go on to say, but it's very unexciting. But it's something which is becoming quite critical for leasehold properties, and that's the issue that we're having with a few cases at the moment where it's just taking too long for a couple of different reasons, and I won't point the finger just yet. I'm sure we'll go on to it, but that's our main issue. We haven't had transactions fall out of bed because of the rate rises. They've already got their rates locked in. They've got their mortgage offers, but it's the length of time. That's the only issue. We're not having issues with less buyers around. We're not having issues with people dropping their price ranges as such. I'm sure people have, obviously, but it hasn't hit any of the people that we're working with at the moment.
Yeah, fair enough. And Sean, buyers that you're talking to at the moment, if you read the news or watched the media, they'd led you to believe the best mortgage rate is about 6.5% at the moment. I'm going to show you on a slide after you've spoke that maybe that isn't the case. But what are you getting from buyers at the moment? What's the feedback?
First-time buyers, not really much of a change in the last 6 months, despite what's been happening. Second time movers, that's where I've seen the biggest cause of concern and sort of worrying people. But at the same time, I'm speaking to others who are pretty switched on about it. So some second time movers are thinking, look, there's no way I can afford another £600 a month for, ultimately the same price house, if it's added onto the mortgage, another £600 a month, for example. Whereas I've met some very switched on sort of sellers / buyers who are thinking, well, yeah, it's £600 more a month, let's say, for the next 2 years, but I'm buying a house at 75 grand less than what I would be if I didn't pay £600. So yeah, it's a mixed bag, really.
Okay, interesting. Right, I'm going to show you the mortgage rates now and just give you the heads up that afterwards we're going to talk about sales and where the national average sits at the moment for transaction timeline. So for people that are planning to get a move in, I mentioned the C word at the start of this video, Christmas. But if people are planning to be in a new home before Christmas, there is some planning urgently that needs to happen, and we'll touch on that in just a second. So let's just share some of the mortgage deals as it stands today. Let's get this on the screen. Pop, there we go. Right, so on brand as well. Don't worry about that. It's like I prepared it earlier. So these are today's rates. So if we're looking at mortgages rather than buy-to-lets, just standard remortgages and new mortgages, then we're looking at the top boxes. And in the top boxes, we've got 5-year fixed and we've got 2-year fixed. As we know at the moment, the better money is in the 5-year fixed deals. I looked at the news the other day and they were talking very much about the fact that you can't get a mortgage pretty much for anything less than 6.5%. Well, as we see there, platform as the lender, loan to value 60%. That means you need 40% equity or deposit. You get 519, sorry. So is it the 0.89 that we had 18 months ago? No. But is it across the last 20 years something that looks fairly normal? Yeah, pretty much. Maybe we would have preferred to see a 60% loan to value in the high threes, but we've had a good time of it. We've had really low interest rates. And I think now what we're expecting to see probably for the next 18 months to 36 months is that mortgage rates are going to sit somewhere around 5.5% is my prediction on it. I don't think they're going to necessarily, you might have some standout deals touching 4, but typically we've got to buckle in for 5.5. And I think potentially they're going to get a lot higher over the next couple of months as well. So if you want to do it now is what I would say. If you can't do it now, then don't worry, things will be relative. But as you can see at the moment, you've got some HSBC deals. If you've got just a 10% deposit, I say just, but a 10% deposit, then you can get something under 5.5% on a 5-year deal. And you can still get something under 6% as well if you want a 2-year fixed. If you want to gamble for 2 years, because maybe you're thinking you're going to move out, they're the deals there. And you can get a sub 5%, 50% loan to value buy to let. You're going to have to pay a £4,000 arrangement fee, but you can get one on a 5-year fixed if you're looking to do a buy to let. And if you are going to do a buy to let, you'd be crazy not to do a 5-year fixed deal at the moment and treat it on the long-term basis. So, yeah, Chris, what's your thoughts on those rates? Are they pleasantly surprising today?
Yeah, they're not as bad as obviously what the media are making it out to be. And I think there might be, if you read between the lines on those a little bit as well, you've got lenders obviously wanting to tie people into 5-year fixed rates at what appears to be the lower rate at the moment. But I personally think, and I might get shot down for this, but I think that's a little bit telling that even just from those rates alone, that it's likely we're going to start seeing reductions in rates within those 5 years. I think it's quite realistic we should anyway, but perhaps sooner rather than we thought. It's not going to be in 6 months. It's probably not going to be within 12 months. I think we all know that. But I think that's some relatively good evidence there that lenders are perhaps preparing for the next 12, 18 months where things hopefully, if inflation does the impossible and comes down, that we might start to see things change a little bit. So it's not as bad as what people make out, is exactly what you just said. The media reporting, 6.5% rates. Yes, fine. We might get there. But, we'll just have to deal with it when we do. But I think at the moment, it's not as horrendous as people make it out to be. And if you can weather the storm somewhat for whether it's 2 years or 5 years, whatever your plan is and whatever your advice to do from a proper financial advisor, not me, because I'm not one, then, I think we'll be okay.
Yeah. Sean, what's your take?
Yeah, I think everyone wants to see the rates come down, and they want to see them come down a lot further. But you've got to work with what you got, and they're not that bad. If they were still that kind of rate, this time next year, people will still be moving. We'll still see hundreds of people moving every month as well. So whether you're looking to remortgage or you're looking to buy, it's going to affect you the same way. So it's not like it's just going to affect you one or the other. So it's applied to everyone. So I think we'll still see plenty of people moving and taking advantage of that. And I think I'll be locking in for 5 years because I think there might be it might come down again before it goes up even further again. So we'll wait and see.
Kyle, what has your son got to say about the matter?
Yeah, he's very vocal this evening, little man. Might get him on there and let him say his piece. We can put a face to the noise in the background. But no, I think pretty much just echoing what the other guys have said. And I guess there's a part of me in the back of my head. I'm kind of thinking about the people that maybe are sat there that think, I'm just going to sit back and wait for this to settle down a bit. Ultimately, when the rates do come down, as we all know, more people are going to sell, more buyers are going to come out, prices are going to go up. So like Chris mentioned it earlier, or it might be Sean, sorry guys. But ultimately, yeah, you're going to see prices go up. So it makes sense to buy now. Yes, you're paying more on the mortgage, but in terms of the property value, like you're making effectively a saving right now versus what you will if we get back to a sort of 3%ers. But like Chris said, very, very telling that the 5-year rates are looking more competitive than the 2-year rates. Yeah, it's normally a sign that the lenders are expecting that within that time frame, it will be better. By the time you get to the end of that term, that 5.19, although it looks great today, probably won't be as tasty in a couple of years' time. So,
well, let's do it live. Let's do it like you said, live. Let's chat through it because I'll zoom that in a little bit just so that people can see it. Is that looking all right? Yeah, that's looking all right. So I just thought
you can actually find more mortgage difference calculators too. Like you can put your current rate and you can see what the difference is in rate, and then when you work out that it's £200 a month or it's whatever,
it's going to be higher, isn't it? It's going to be a fair chunk. But if we say there's people that we're looking at 2.5% on their remortgage, and what's coming around the corner, or people were pricing because they were looking last year and now they're active again. Well, if we take 300 grand, not as a purchase price, but as a mortgage amount. So maybe someone's buying a 500 grand house or remortgaging a 500 grand house, 200 grand equity, whatever it may be, 400 grand purchase, etc. But if it was 2.5% on a 30-year term, you're looking about 1,200. Now, when we compare that with a 400, 500 grand house to rent, that rental would be probably about £2,200 to £2,500. That's the value of that sort of property in this area. So really quids in. If we just change that to say 6%, go worst case scenario at the moment on the rates and say 6%, well, it's jumped up to 1,800. So yes, it's £600 more, but in terms of where the average is sat for the last kind of 20 years at 4.5, in reality, it's only 200 quid difference, or less than 200 quid difference. There is things that you can do. If you are young enough, you can add some extra term to it. So you could do it over 35 years, where even some lenders now, depending on your age, will do it over 40 years. But let's just say 30 seems to be the going rate. And what does it mean if it gets really out of hand, like a YouTube video that I've just put on this evening, if things got to 8%? If things got to 8% on your mortgage, £2,200, still cheaper than renting. Is it nice to see? Nope. But is it all going to become relative with the pricing as well? And I think the answer would be yes, it will become relative on the pricing. So that's kind of what it looks like there across the numbers for people. And I think it's just good to be upfront and talk about it, really, because, that's maybe where it sits at some point. Right. This is starting off by being directed at you, Chris. So I'll go to you with this one. So Stu Bock, evening gents. Chris, looks like you're in a nightclub. Met someone this week who had initially valued 100k over what it's worth. They stuck it on a 20-week contract. It's been on for 8 weeks. It's dropped twice by 50k now, so it's down the 100k. And arguably, they're at the right price from 8 weeks ago, but that's now 25 grand too high in his opinion. What options do they have to get out of the contract? Chris, what do you think? I mean, it's hard to tell without seeing and doing.
Yeah, I mean, I can probably tell you which agent this probably was as well, but we won't name them, will we? Okay, so I think this is, in my view, it becomes a bit of a moral issue. Now, if I was that agent in that situation and I clearly got it wrong, now, whether that was on purpose or not on purpose, not saying it was, but let's face it, could have been. We know how the market works, how some agents work, but it's a moral issue. 20-week agreements, as we've discussed to the death of us, are ridiculous anyway. No one needs that. No one should ever sign a 20-week agreement anyway. What options have they got out of it? Well, the bottom line is you go straight to the top of whoever is sitting at the top of that business, and you tell them, this is the situation. This is what your staff have done on the basis of how things have gone. They've got me to reduce by 100 grand already. I've been guided by the professional here in terms of what I should do against other advice from other estate agents. So what do you propose that we do about this now? Because I've been completely screwed around. No doubt the experience hasn't been particularly nice so far. Not likely to lead in any way, shape or form to a positive Google Trustpilot or Facebook review or anything like that. So what do you suggest we do, Mr. Managing Director? My view is I would be looking to obviously say, look, you need to let me out here. I've been completely misguided. The advice has been absolutely crap. So this is what you should be doing. Now, technically, legally, they're in an agreement. They've got that agreement, and they'll probably fight for that if needs be. But I don't really think you've got much of a moral leg to stand on to justify why you should keep that agreement going. So I would, if it was me, I would go straight to the top on that one. Go above the person who you're dealing with already, because they've clearly got it wrong already. So go to the top, and you're just going to have to make a bit of noise about that one, unfortunately. But it's wrong in every way, shape or form. But that's what I would do.
I think estate agents at some point have to stop hiding behind.
Oh, that's a great freeze.
Have I frozen?
Yeah, you did. You did on my screen anyway. You might not have. So.
No, you did.
Yeah, I think we've got estate agents got to have it. They've got to have a little bit of common sense and a bit of duty of care, and they've got to stop hiding behind contracts. So if you're overvaluing and you've put a price that you believe that property should be marketed at, I am a firm believer with agency contracts that if an agent has valued it at X and it's priced at Y, then there is an opportunity to say, right, we will try it at Y if that's what you want, Mr. Seller, but then we will revert back to my price. But if an estate agent has priced it at X and valued it at X, and then within 8 weeks saying it's got to come down twice, that contract should be null and void.
100%.
It should be null and void.
And I think there's been things mentioned recently,
and
I've said this to a few
contracts. Sorry.
What was that, Sean?
I think there should be a clause in your agency contracts, really.
I agree.
Well, this is what I'm saying, and that is that what I feel should be, and I've said this to a few clients recently, where I've not been the highest the highest price, and quite often I'm not going to be. I don't intend to be, and I don't try to be. But what they should be doing is they should say to that agent, right, fine, you've got 4 weeks, 8 weeks maybe to go for it and to deliver on the promise that you're essentially giving me at the moment. But the moment you tell me to reduce that price, your agreement is null and void, and I can leave, or you're going to half your commission. And you watch them squirm, because they will.
I just think it's fair. We can't guarantee that we're going to be right on the valuation, but I think when you put a valuation on and a marketing price, and then within such a short space of time, within 8 weeks to have 2 massive price reductions like that on your home, that agent is relying on one thing, and that is Rightmove. They've got no backup plan. They're not relying on their marketing. They've got no proactive take on anything. And all they're looking for is Rightmove to resend it out to its database and see whether it can find a buyer ringing on their phone, pretty much playing potluck. So you might as well cancel that contract and let them go with an agent that's going to actually do an estate agency job. And yeah, I totally
Agreed.
agree.
I'm just going
Yeah.
to call it out right now because I know, Chris, you gave them sort of element of doubt there. That agent 100% knew what they were doing when they took it on for 100 grand over. No questions. No questions. No
And
accidents.
I
No
will
rookie.
I just want to throw in there. This isn't like a witch hunt that I've got against estate agents. I get on brilliantly with all of my competition, but there is a very small minority of agents that are doing that. So it's not everyone. It really isn't. There's one or two that just don't get it right. They really don't. So yeah, I just want to say, look, this is not a whole thing against our competition because we have no issues with our competition.
No.
And it's also it's not
I'll-
isolated to your area either, to be fair. I
No.
touched on it earlier on with the other one. As soon as I started to hear the price that they were being told, I thought, well, I'm never going to be the biggest valuation out there because I will give you a kind of rough, correct price. As soon as you're hearing stuff 100, 200,000 more, there's nothing out there that matches that. So, carry on.
Yeah. Right, let's get on to this because we've flown through this call, but I want to touch on it, and I know I'll go to Sean first on this. I know Chris is desperate to jump in as well, but Sean, sales are taking longer than they should be taking for the amount of transactions that are going through at the moment. And just to confirm that that's not just waffle, the anticipation and forecast this year is that we'll see 850,000 transactions in the UK, which is 27% lower than what it would do on an average year. So we're a quarter of transactions down for mortgage advisors, estate agents, surveyors, and conveyancers to be handling. It should be getting faster because there is less to do. I don't see any argument to that. You have less to deal with. We should all be communicating and doing a faster, better job. But it's the opposite at the moment, Sean. Why is that? Is it your fault?
Yeah,
I think it. I think it does come down to the agent. I think it's got to be their fault. On who they're putting in referrals to, because my sellers and buyers, 9 to 10 weeks at the moment, and they are getting faster because the solicitors I'm working with are looking for business. So still going through those factory conveyancers, and you're getting put on a conveyor belt of who to deal with and who to send your forms to, and then it goes to the next person. Well, there's no personality in that, so it's never ever going to speed up, and it's always going to get slower. So I don't know why other people are getting slower, and I don't know why the averages weeks are taking longer. But
mortgage valuations, credit where it's due to the brokers out there. Shout out to the good mortgage advisors, because mortgage valuations getting booked faster than they have done for the last couple of years. There's no doubt on that. An application goes in, you get a call pretty sharpish on the mortgage valuation. So I think that's great news.
That's it. I'm seeing mortgage offers are coming in within a week and a half. So
yeah, absolutely. And then in terms of kind of the rest of that element, I think you've got to put solicitors into 3 pots. I think now, Chris, we've got the panel-led conveyancing, which we all know that's not the best way. It's very factory-led, departmentalized. It's cheap, but it's not going to give you the best end result. Then you've got the traditional. Now, the traditional, they're still sending faxes and homing pigeons for messages. That's a bit of a problem. We don't even have a fax machine in our office, obviously, because it's 2023. But you do have those traditional that just sit on things. And then you've got some awesome ones in the middle. And I think the problem is we're talking of a third, if not less, of the conveyancing world that are really, really good and on the ball, and they're trying to shave off time. They're trying to get paperwork through quicker. They've got great assistance with them. You're dealing with the fee earner from 9 times out of 10. You will pay double for them than what
easily.
You will for factory-led conveyancing, but it'd be worth every penny of it, I believe.
Completely. And I think you've hit the nail on the head there. There are several different types of conveyancer, and what there is, there's another model appearing now, which is essentially what we were when we came into the industry with our brand. It's almost like a bespoke approach, and we've got a lawyer at the moment who we are recommending business to. No financial kickback or anything like that. Stephen and I don't do that. and she is working on a bespoke basis, directly one-to-one with the clients. She's WhatsApping us at 10 o'clock in the evening with our updates. We can contact her at 10:30 at night and we'll get a response. This is exactly the same way that we work. I'm not going to, again, go on a witch hunt about conveyancers, but I think the ones that are working in a situation where it is a very, very high volume game, hence cheap fee, got to be high volume to make the business profitable, and that's how it's got to work. That is the problem, because these poor conveyancers, are dealing with 250 odd cases or whatever. Now, if they had to do some work on each one of their clients' cases every single day, they would have about 25 seconds in each day to be able to allocate to that client, which is nothing. So therefore, they can't be proactive. They can only be reactive. And that's when agents are tearing their hair out, saying, what's going on? They have to constantly chase to force proactivity within that sector of our industry. Now, I'll go as far to say that I think that sector of our industry is broken at the moment. There are some outstanding traditional lawyers and these new bespoke ones that are coming through at the moment, who I'm a massive fan of. The panel conveyancers. No, I'm unfortunately I'm not a fan of it, and I'm sorry to say, and I don't want to be rude about them at all, but it just causes problems. And we can't tell people you can't use anyone or anything like that, but we can only advise that you use someone who is local, who you can go and visit in the office, that you deal with the fee earner. And it is probably, aside from your estate agent and your financial advisor, it is also equally as important a decision that you've got to make before you go down this process. And I cannot emphasize enough how important it is. Rant over.
Thank you. Take a breath. Darren's jumped on. He's watching on LinkedIn. Darren's great agent, local agent. Obviously doesn't work for Avocado because, as you can see, he's wearing a suit and tie. But good agent, good guy. And he's kind of just saying, look, can we all admit that sometimes we get the price wrong? I think that's fair. If you get it wrong, cancel the contract and accept a mistake. I've had that, and I've had that conversation with a client personally. But if you've done it intentionally, then you should also cancel the contract. So I totally agree with him. Sometimes you get it wrong. If you get it wrong and you're a gas fitter, you blow someone up, So you've just got to sometimes accept that you get it wrong. So I totally agree.
But also, sorry, Ian, to cut across you, but also, fair point, Dan. Yeah, and look, we've all got it wrong. We've all done it for years and years, and we don't get everything right all the time. But I think what the conversation that we're having is not about that, making a mistake. It's consciously making that effort to overvalue something by that much, to win the business. That's the problem. Yes, we've all got it wrong, as I've said, and we're all only human, as you quite rightly point out there. But it's more the case of the people that are the agents, the very small minority that are doing it on purpose.
Yeah, and he's highlighted down the bottom as well. For his office at the moment, I would imagine the average sale from being agreed to exchange is 105 days, which is 90 days plus 15, 3.5 months, 2 weeks to completion, 4 months, about 17 weeks. So, again, and that's probably one of the better setups, and still 17 weeks, to completion by the sounds of it. So, that I know it's not the same for across Avocado, and I know ours are different, and I know we work, but as an industry, we're dictated by the chain up and down, and the chain has a big impact. So we're just asking for brokers, surveyors, estate agents, solicitors to really work together to improve that part of the world, because it will make it better for everyone. And at the moment, the way the market is, with a little bit of uncertainty, one bad bit of press, that can ruin a lot of people's lives. So speed is really important. And, thanks for your comment there, Darren. We much appreciate it. And it sounds like you loved my suit comment as well. So hats off to you too. Gents, anything else you want to throw into the mix while we're there? Is there any secret little squirrel listings that anyone wants to talk about? If so, put your hand up, or any little kind of questions or thoughts that you want to throw in. Chris, what have you got?
Okay, we got 3 listings in for next week. We've got a little diamond in the rough. No, that's the wrong way to put it, because it's in Wokingham. Wokingham a lovely place. So we've got a
diamond in the jewellery box.
No, I completely got that wrong. What we've got, we've got a 2-bed detached bungalow
the other way around
over in Wokingham, which is an awesome project. that it's going to be very, very busy on. We've got the Mats coming out to assist on that one as well. But that's going to be say again.
Has it got a plot?
No, it's not. No, it's well, it has got a plot, but it's not that kind of plot. But that's going to be at 350. Okay. Which is going to be an absolute little stormer of an opportunity, that one. So yeah, we'll have that one live at some point next week. We've got a really, really nice rental flat coming up for rental on Heatherside. And where's the other one? Steve just booked it in. I can't remember for the life of me where it is. Oh, sorry, of course. In Yateley, we've got no, it's not a down the rough. We've got a really, really, really nice 3-bed coming on over in Yateley, which we're taking on Tuesday. So yeah, busy week for us. Busy start of the week.
Anything on the bubble, Sean? You've got all sorts going on at the moment. You know, new builds and flats and houses and everything.
Yeah, I've got a 2-bed apartment coming on for rent in Ansells, probably in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, that's the latest. That's
going to go crazy. And Kyle, I've seen a couple of Beat the Portals. You had a promo which, you know, I would have thought Warner Brothers would have been proud of the other day.
That was awesome. I love that.
Yeah, I got a little bit excited. I think it was a little bit late at night, and I think I decided to press the go button on it. But yeah, that's been quite cool. The response on that's been really, really positive. It's just something a little bit different, isn't it? Because I guess kind of over in Twyford, you get the kind of traditional pictures that go out on Rightmove, and there's not really much else. Pigott catchment, like I said, if it's kind of live in our system, it's not on any of the portals yet. It's already getting a lot of traction, and every other phone call conversation I'm having is about that house. 4-bed, semi-detached, shallow bungalow. So you've got the master upstairs with the ensuite, which you can update, but they've refitted the shower room downstairs. They've refitted the kitchen, replaced the hard flooring downstairs. It's been extended to the rear. Really nice, quiet, family-orientated cul-de-sac. Current owners have literally been there and been through school. You can walk to Pigott in about 15 minutes, according to Google Maps. If you're driving, well, I don't know why you drive during the school run. It's literally like 2 minutes. It's ideal. Bus stops at the end of the road, which will take you all the way into Reading and Wokingham. Really good house. It's on at the right price. Owners are being really sensible, and these are the kind of people that are selling and being successful doing it. They're realistic with the market. The option was there to let, because we mentioned sort of letting earlier on. I mean, I'm certainly seeing a lot more people wanting to have the conversation about renting, but everyone's still just driving forward with selling. So that one will probably make an appearance at some point on Rightmove. But at the moment, it's keeping me busy off of Rightmove. Few others bubbling in the pipeline. I'm just scaling down through the list. Got a cheeky little something coming up in Ascot. Done the filming on yesterday, so I'm looking forward to putting that together because the drone has been out again. A couple of shots of Ascot Racecourse looking beautiful in there, so look out for that. We'll see how jazzy.
Do you know do you know there's a kids' park in the middle of Ascot Racecourse? Not many people know that.
Is there? Oh, yeah, I'll go back and get the drone back up.
Right in the middle of the racecourse. Yeah, pretty epic.
Yeah. Oh, I'll get the drone up there. We'll see what we can find.
I don't know if you want to film the park, but I know what you mean.
No, yeah. Yeah, maybe I won't do that actually. No,
be a bit careful there.
But yeah, I said that. Yeah, I won't do that.
Love that. Sound like you got some good stuff bubbling, gents.
Yes.
Well, look, we might be hitting a record. I don't know if we've gone towards 45 minutes, but it's absolutely flown by. We've covered loads. We've had some great comments. Thank you for Darren, Stuart, Rob, Georgina for joining us on the comments. Thanks for everyone that's hit that like button. We've had businesses and clients hitting like in all sorts of different areas, so appreciate that. Obviously, Thursday, 6 o'clock. I think at the moment this is a really important live chat to get involved with, because we just keep you up to date with exactly what's going on. I jumped on a webinar for estate agents at lunchtime today, and I was really looking forward to seeing the webinar. And on that webinar, there were 4 people that hadn't been estate agents for over 10 years giving their opinion. And unfortunately, I turned it off. I respect all 4 of them a lot, but there's a lot of people talking out there in the media at the moment and in a lot of other areas that are not dealing with what you 3 in particular and the Avocado group are dealing with, which is live day to day. I mean, we brought you mortgage rates from 2 hours ago today. So this is as live as you can get. So join us every Thursday at 6 o'clock. We'll be upfront, honest, exactly what's going on, just like the banner said at the kickoff. And yeah, if you've got comments and you're watching this after we've gone live, please chuck them in. Please get in contact with Chris, his business partner, Stephen, if you want to deal with anything in Farnborough, Frimley, Camberley, all around that area. Sean, if you want to talk to anyone from a Basingstoke perspective, back through to Hook, Fleet, in and around that area, Sean's your man. And then Kyle, if you're in and around that kind of RG4, RG10, Hurst, Sonning, all the way through into Twyford. And as you can tell, Kyle's here, there and everywhere anyway, then definitely get in contact with him. And we've got one last little comment from Darren, which is, when is Ovi coming on? Well, it's a great way to end it. Watch this space for the next launch of the next.
Are you
part.
coming on, Darren?
Yeah. That's gone for the DM, Sean. Right. See you next week, guys and gals.
Yeah, see you guys.